Hey everyone, let's do a little Tag Tuesday today, should we? I was tagged last week by Melinda at Web of Stories for this tag called the Sir Isaac Newton tag, originally created by Reading Ideas. This is a little brainier one for me because it is inspired by different aspects of Sir Isaac Newton with prompts that are characteristics of all these different aspects of his life and works, I guess. And I had to think really hard, and I don't know if I even managed to think of a book for every single one of them, but I decided I had a moment right now, so I'm just going to go ahead with what I did figure out. Some of them might be a little bit of a stretch. The first one is a book with a character that is adopted, sent away, or abandoned. The first one I thought of for this one is Before We Were Yours by Lisa Wingate. I think I reread this one for book club several years ago, and I was pretty much blown away by this book, sucked into the story. Beautiful, heartbreaking book about the real life event where this lady kidnapped kids and then sold them to rich people. It's a fictional story, but it turns out that this could have been any of those kids' stories of this family that happened to. And then it goes back and forth in the past and in the current day where our main character is uncovering the story. It's really good. I remember giving that one 5 stars and like I said, blown away by it. Number 2 is a book where time is a crucial element. There's a lot of books that could fit this category, but of course my mind goes blank and I struggle to think of one, but I decided to use The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon, which is one of those books that takes place in a day where the characters come together, they meet, they have a day. And then after the day is over, life has to go back to their normal, and they are changed because of what happened in that day, but they can't really do anything about what happened in that day. Does that make sense? Anyway, it's one of those crazy books where all this stuff happens in the day and then the characters are forever changed. I really enjoyed that one too. Loved it a lot. Of Nicola Yoon, one of my favorite authors. So yeah, it's not like one of those science fiction-y kind of time things, but where the day becomes an important thing. This is number 3, a book where the character has to pass a test of strength. There's lots of ones I could think of for this one, but I decided to share Dry by Neil Shusterman. This is a true to life kind of apocalyptic story where it feels like it could really happen, where in California, one day the water stops coming out of the faucet and how quickly the world falls apart and our characters have to survive. So their test of strength is for survival basically, and it is insane what they go through in just a few short days and how the world completely falls apart. It's crazy. That book was crazy. Number 4, a character who has a dark side or temper. So I'm scrolling through my books that I've read recently, and I scrolled past A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah Moss, and I thought of that secondary character, the second male lead dude, Resand, is that how we say this name? Who we just kind of start getting to know in this book. And I haven't read the other books. I feel like we're going to get to know him a lot more in the other books, but he is a scary, in this book anyway, in this first book, he's kind of scary with a dark, dark side to him. I get that he has the potential for some interesting moments of messing with our heads as readers, where his character might not be exactly what he's portraying. But what we saw in that first book, he's pretty dark. I decided to count him, even though he's a secondary character, at least in this first book. Like I said, future books, I am getting the feeling he's not so secondary. Number 5, a book where the quest is deemed so big, the character either chooses to have no personal life or is destroyed. Hi, this is Suey from the future, coming here to re-film this segment of the tag that I filmed the other day, because I had a little glitch. So let's just keep going, should we? I was scrolling through my Goodreads books and I came across the book that's just called 8 with Roman numerals. And it is the YA book that I read a while back about Henry VIII, starting out when he was a kid and then kind of going through his teen years and on from there. It made me think that this one was a good fit for this prompt because he had a quest in his life to have an heir. And this quest was so big for him that it basically ruined his personal life. As we all know, he kind of turned into a jerk. And I have a feeling that when he was younger, he wasn't that way until this quest took over his life and made him be insanely crazy in order to fulfill this quest. I thought that fit that prompt pretty good for kind of a different take on it. I don't know what you guys think about that. Number 6, a book where the main character makes a questionable decision. And for this one, I chose the popular 3-Body Problem book that I've been talking about quite a bit lately. And I feel like this is a good one because the main character does a very questionable thing that sets off the entire craziness of those books. Yes. Now, I think I was able to finish answering this question in the original filming that I did. So back to your regular scheduled programming. Our character makes this decision where she has to push a button, and everything that we learn beforehand up to that point is supposed to justify her decision. And then everything that follows afterwards and all the sequels are the consequences of this decision where all she does is push a button. It's questionable because this is not a great decision. She knows it's not good. She knows the consequences and she still does it. But it's an awesome catalyst for a great series. A book where with an object or place that goes through a scale change. Well, of course we all think of Alice in Wonderland. Then after that I couldn't think of anything. But then I remembered Gulliver's Travels, which was a beloved book of mine when I was a kid. I had a little abridged kid version of it with pictures in it, and I kept picturing Gulliver laying on the ground with all the little guys, all over him and pinning him down. Now I know he doesn't necessarily go through a scale change, but it kind of feels like it because he keeps visiting places where he's this big guy and he visits a place where he's the small guy. So it kind of gives you those vibes of Alice in Wonderland a little bit, and that he has a scale change even though he doesn't really, but it feels like he does. So I decided to count that one. Has anybody read Gulliver's Travels lately? I've never read the real thing, just that little kid version that I had, and I have fond memories of it. A book where something or someone is falling, or where gravity plays a part. So the one that came to mind here was The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axio, which the title completely gives this one away because the girl goes she falls into the ocean, and then she falls and falls and falls and falls, and then she ends up in the underworld, which is, I guess, under the ocean. I don't know. But yeah, she has a pretty good, interesting fall. And then stuff happens down there that's really interesting. You should read that book. It's good. A book with a red herring, a false trailer quest, or the use of codes. The Scarlet Pimpernel by Baroness somebody whose name I can't say. This was the first book we read for a book club, and it's also an awesome musical. Have you guys seen this musical? It is so good. And the whole premise is that they are pretending to be somebody they are not. The main dude and all of his buddies, they act like crazy, silly guys when in fact they are completely working kind of the underground of the French Revolution and getting people out of there, getting people to safety. And they use the Scarlet Pimpernel, which is flower, as their code to kind of for this club that they're in for helping people. And they fool a lot of people, including his wife, which is where the conflict comes and all the angst and emotion. I love it. I love that story. The musical is so good. A book with an element of revenge or punishment. Of course, I'm going to say The Count of Monte Cristo. I know that's the obvious one. The book that I started reading, the book I started rereading for the third time, and I haven't really, here it is. I haven't really kept going because I got to read other books, but I really would have loved to have done this reread. But I feel like I don't really need to force myself because, like I said, it would have been like the third or fourth time through that one. But anyway, that is the quintessential revenge story, the one we all think of, the most beautiful revenge story ever. It is awesome. A rise and fall, a book with a rise in status followed by a catastrophic fall. I cannot think of one for this one. Let me get back to you on that one. If I think of one before I edit this, I will stick it in here. But I needed to film while I had a moment. Rise and fall. I cannot think of one. So which writer to you is a genius, or a book with a character that is a genius? Marcus Zusak is a genius. That's what I'm going to say about that. Okay. Tag some others. I am tagging Ellen Made Book Club, Paige Lisnick, and Bandana Book Mom. Hopefully you guys haven't done this already. And I promise you, you're going to have to really do some thinking. This one's not an easy one. There's so many books out there to choose from. I didn't want to do like the same old, but I probably did with a few of them. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed these choices that I came up with, and we'll find some new books to read from the list that I have given you. Happy Tag Tuesday. Until next time, happy reading.